Try again.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
You're welcome.
I hereby call council meeting in the city of Buffalo to order. There will be some changes to the agenda as we go through. And also we have a closed meeting. The very first portion of this is to replace the council seat.
Jeff, have you got citizens?
Citizens' comments. Citizens.
In a minute. I'm gonna have it done, I'll take care of it, to reappoint a council. Under section 79-280, chapter 79, the fourth class cities, it says, if a vacancy occurs in any elected office, the mayor or the person exercising the duty of the mayors shall cause a special meeting of the board of aldermen to convene, where a successor to the vacant office shall be selected by, appointed by the mayor with advice and consent of the majority of the remaining members of the aldermen. Now, we have had 3 gentlemen apply for the post. One is Bo Nudwig, excuse me, Tim Jasper and James Hyatt. Normally I could make the appointment and ask the council to approve it. I would rather, and I am going to, let the council vote by ballot on the 3 applicants, and whoever gets the majority, then I will request an appointment and the council to approve. This is a democracy. I would really like for it to be a dictatorship, but it just won't work around here. But I will do this. I will ask each of the 3 if you would like to address the council. If you would, address the council to suit yourself. I don't need a long speech. It's a small town. Bo, you're first. Would you like to address the council?
I've been coming to the meetings for a couple of years now. I kinda have an idea what's going on and what the problems are, what some of the solutions are.
Okay. Tim Masters, Jasper Masters. Oh, I really have a good night.
I am Tim Jasper, lived in the city of Buffalo for all my life, 33 years, except when I was going to college and off on the road working. Hadn't been to many meetings or anything like that here in the past, just for the simple fact that I worked out of town for about the last 4.5 years. Actually got moved over here about a year ago, and got more concerned about the city and what was going on in it, and come over and so I applied for it. So that's why I'm here.
I guess I better say something. Jim?
Well, I've been animal control, I've been a police officer, and I've been on the council for a year. I'd like to get back on it.
Who's out, please? The ballots have been looked at by the city clerk. I would like to make a motion. The vacant council seat be appointed to Tim Jasper. Do I hear a motion from the council?
I'll
I
second.
have a motion. Do I have a second? Would you please call the roll?
James.
Aye.
Larry.
Brandon.
Aye.
Wayne.
Aye.
Christie. Aye.
Brandon Wayne.
3, 1, and 1. Really, that's not, I don't have to disclose that information, but I will disclose it. That's the way the ballot is. There are 5 votes, there's 3, 1, and 1. Mr. Jasper, would you step forward? And city clerk, please swear in our new council ladies.
Just stay right here, I guess, that's fine. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Tim Jasper,
Tim Jasper,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess all the qualifications
that I possess all the qualifications
prescribed by law for my office,
prescribed by law for my office,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Missouri,
and of the state of Missouri,
the provisions of all laws of this state
and provision of all laws in the state,
affecting cities of the fourth class,
affecting cities of the fourth class,
and the ordinances of the city of Buffalo, Missouri,
and ordinances of the city of Buffalo, Missouri,
and faithfully perform the duties of alderman
and faithfully perform the duties of Alderman
of the city of Buffalo, Missouri,
of the city of Buffalo, Missouri,
and faithfully demean myself while in office.
and faithfully defend myself with all my office.
I knew he was gonna
Mr. Jasper, thank you.
businessman.
Wish
He
you
took
well.
over for
Welcome to the Board of Aldermen in the city of Buffalo.
2 of them sitting there.
Now reverse the
He was
situation.
kinda cut and dry.
Since we have a full council,
You said you never.
now I will take any citizens' comment. Yes,
When are we gonna get someone to take care of the recycling center?
we are working on it as we speak.
Any guess about how long or?
Take your recycling center.
No, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you we're working on it. It's, we're gonna hire somebody very quickly if we don't make some other changes within the recycling system itself. That's all I can tell you, because it's in regards to personnel, it's regard to going into a closed session. Who we hire, what we do is a closed session deal. But we're looking at several ways to handle it. It's a very expensive process for the city of Buffalo, and we might be looking at some other way besides a direct handling of the recycling. That I can tell you as soon as possible.
What do you mean a direct?
Our expenses to run that recycling committee is a lot of money. So we may hire it out, we may not. It's gonna go on a part-time basis and not a full-time. We're gonna cut our expenses. The budget committee recommended we cut our budgets. We did. And that's what we did, and that's what we're looking to do in the future. We're still gonna have one because the county court refuses to handle it. We will. We will not close it.
That's good.
I'll say, Candy, I talked with some folks Sunday that, just wanted to look at the recycling center, and they were impressed at our facilities. Apparently ours are in really good shape, large compared to some of the others in the area, so it was a positive thing.
Are we gonna just still mix it or separate it, and then if we get a good price for it separated, take the good price?
The folks I talked to said that it would be better to separate it, but we have to educate the public. Cause a lot of that, if you hire somebody to sit there and separate it all day long, it's not really cost effective, so.
No, it's not, but a lot of people have it separated when they bring it in.
They were really impressed with how neat our recycling center was and, how much the citizens did sort their own recycling, because apparently in Bolivar they don't have that. It's not as nice and neat. They get a lot of trash dumped on them, so
Yeah.
it was good.
Any other citizens' comments? Next thing on the agenda, we need to change the next meeting from November the 11th, which is Veterans Day, to November the 12th. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Would you please call the roll?
Christie.
Aye.
James.
Aye.
Wayne.
Aye.
Larry.
All right,
Tim.
Aye.
Brandon.
Aye.
so done. Do you have front of you a copy of the bills to be paid. I need a motion to pay those.
And then that we approve minutes and bills, no minutes. We said bills, right?
We're just messing with you.
Okay.
Just helps us close the fiscal year out if we pay bills, since we paid them early
Okay,
this month.
so we don't have minutes till next meeting, all right.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
You got a second? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Brandon,
Aye.
Tim, Larry, Christie,
Hi.
James,
Aye.
Wayne.
Aye.
So the next agenda is a forming and the action of a municipal court belonging to the city of Buffalo. Pros, cons. I will speak my piece up front. And it's about a wash. We've looked at some good figures, we've had some good figures put together. And in my opinion, for the town to really go forward, to collect our own fees, to set up our own judicial system, the municipal court would be an asset to our community, and especially to our town, to our police department, to our building inspectors, to the council itself. I said that a little bit, now I would like to hear from the opposition, Mr. Richel.
I'm afraid the fines maybe way out of proportion.
Well, here's the thing that you gotta remember. The city of Buffalo has to set the fines and the court cost. We cannot become a city of traffic tickets because the gentleman's over there work for the city of Buffalo. And if they get completely out of hand with traffic tickets, and it's not to their advantage, because they're not on a commission basis, it's not to their advantage to write speeding tickets. And we're not gonna become a ticket mill. The council still controls. If you have officers that decide that they want to write tickets all day long, that's not a problem. You remove them, in my opinion. I just think the town's good. It's time that we made the changes. We try it. The judge is here. If we try it for a year and we don't like it, we shut it down. It's not not permanent. Nothing in this life is except death and taxes, we all know that. But I think with our traffic tickets given, tickets written,
They have
fines on the back, we mail them in, don't show up to court, you don't have to, just spend the money. It's all about fines, it's all about cost. Based upon, and I haven't read this, but I can tell you it's about 40 pages long, and it would take a lawyer to read it. It's almost a wash at the existing amount of money we receive from the courts. The difference is everything's the same except that we get the money.
My opinion is, I don't think that having our own municipal court is gonna make the officers write more tickets one way or the other.
No, it's
And that is a question I do have for Judge Walsh, if it's okay if I ask you a question about that. Is the fee we pay a month based on ticket count, or an average ticket count, or
The fee you pay for what?
for you and the clerk?
No, it's a fixed cost, no matter how much activity there is in court.
Okay.
He's kind of like a lawyer. We retain an attorney to work, and if we don't use him, we still pay the same amount of money for him.
My concern would be, I mean, with a fixed cost, when we're dealing with the county and the county is running our tickets, it's based on how many tickets we have. We don't have a fixed cost, so I would be afraid that we would end up having to meet a quota to be able to cover the fixed cost. I mean, what if they didn't write enough tickets that month to cover the cost, then it would potentially cost us money.
I hope they wouldn't write the tickets, personally.
But then
it's
if,
an
with the county
expense.
system, then we're not
It's an
out.
expense, not arguing, it's an expense to the city, just exactly like the water department is, the police department, and we hope the fire department doesn't make any fire calls. I think that part of it is just part of being a city. It's nothing to do with money. Our expenses to this, it's a wash. The figures that we have used are basically on the figures that we've been running for the last couple, 3 years. Is that right, Martha? I mean, Debbie?
I did it, it was from 2012 and then this year so far.
Right. So it was almost a wash. And that's what we're looking for. We just wanted a little bit more convenient, make a little more money out of it, but it be an advantage to the city of Buffalo and judicial system.
Judge Blosh, I have another question if that's okay. You've done this with several other communities. Have you seen, A, an increase in tickets wrote, or B, a problem with basically not enough tickets wrote, that it doesn't help cover the cost of?
I've never, the only time that a city has ever approached a problem in that regard has been politics that weren't associated with the operation of the court. Like, for instance, firing the police chief. You know, when you've got nobody working, you know. So, under normal circumstances, no.
Okay.
And I might add that I thought that in my discussion with the city clerk with regard to their findings, I thought that it was actually, for some reason, 519 tickets total runs through my head. And at that juncture, not counting the fines that you would receive. But just all things being equal with the court clerk fee and the addition to make the total fine and cost be the same as what they are now, I think she actually calculated a better than $3,000 surplus. So
It
it
is.
actually makes more money to do it yourself than it does to not do
That's why
it.
you're assuming that, I'm sure.
That's right.
I think he's assuming at this point, we don't know how many more expenses we have, at least for our first year, I'm assuming that's what he's gonna have.
Yeah, I don't wanna anticipate making any money, I just wanna wash. I just wanna be more, I mean, this doesn't include attorney fees that we pay now on a Monday. You never know, this court will be held 2 days a month, is that right, Judge?
Just one docket is all you'll need, as
One
long as
docket a
it
month.
stays the way the clerk has kind of
With this
forecasted
amount of
the numbers.
tickets.
You know, if you're writing 50 tickets on the average, which, based on historical figures from Buffalo, that's really a conservative number. I mean, it's not just normal law enforcement exposure without changing gears, without changing posture, is reflective of that number. And there shouldn't be any change in the average over the years. So, you know, I think it's, that is a conservative number, not only based on your own history, but I will tell you, my history with other courts for a city this size, you know, that is very conservative. I mean, there's no indication that from those numbers that the populace is being mistreated or over scrutinized by police with those numbers. They're very conservative.
Never really had any problems with a lot of citizens coming and saying, oh, this is what This is what it's turned into now, it's,
No, the populace to the number of tickets ratio, there's no indication based on, you could write as many as probably, with a town this size, 80 to 90 a month, and still not be close to some of the other communities based on their population.
I think our officers do a really good job of keeping the ticket count at what it is right now. I mean, basically giving warnings where warnings needed and then ticketing where ticketing's needed, I think personally, but I do have another question if we are discussing this. And are we just discussing
No,
this?
we're discussing this. This is a decision for the future. We need to make sure that everybody's on base with it. If you're against it, now's the time. Don't be, not 6 months from now or 30 days from now, say, well, if I was saying, well, here it is, say it today, and live with whatever you say. That's,
It's not that I necessarily have any problems whatsoever with doing this, I've got questions, you know, is this, we're suitable to have court? Is this place suitable, or would we?
If 50 tickets are being written, that's going to equate to about 25 appearances. Because most people, most of those are traffic violations bureau tickets. They just send in their money and be done with it. Which means that this room right here is more than adequate. Now, if, things could change and, but like I said, this room could take even as high as 50 appearances. So, if this is what you're considering, this is perfectly adequate.
let me ask a question. You help us, change our forms, our ordinances to agree with the statutes, agree with our fines. Are all the fines set by council? And
All
court
the
calls?
fines are approved by council.
That's what I meant, approved by council.
In other words, it would be foolish for any employee of the city, i.e. a judge, to set a fine schedule and not ask for the nod from the city.
Right, I mean,
And
so you're not at will to decide to charge whatever you feel like without some input from the city.
Well, technically, the judge has that discretion, but in practice, if the city is comfortable with 11 to 15 over the speed limit costing a $120 fine, then you get a chance to nod to give, rubber stamp that schedule.
And we set the court cost.
Well, no, the state sets it,
Okay, the state sets it.
and it'll be $25.50, it's got to be.
Now remember, council, nothing will change, but every month you see how many tickets the police department wrote, which is very unusual. Because you know at your monthly meetings, that report is given to us to look at. So we have the authority to look to see if it's getting out of hand. I mean, if we've been running 84 tickets and all of a sudden it's 160, somebody's gonna scream. But if it's running 80 to 110, that's what we want. I mean, that's not what we want. We hope to have nobody speed through town. We hope that it's a cost to us, but it's never gonna be just, there are always gonna be violators. And officers are always gonna write tickets.
I have two questions, if that's okay. Can I ask what county you live in? Polk County. So, we would be paying, what would we be paying you to do this?
Well, it hasn't been decided yet.
Okay. Whatever we decide that we will be paying, the judge to do this will leave our county. What we're paying right now to the Dallas County Courthouse is staying here. And people that work at the courthouse are benefiting from that by, having a job. So, I
Well,
would
if it's
just,
any consolation, I own a house It's right down there.
Okay. So,
The
I
only
mean,
other
does
thing
he
is
live
those
in it?
people are elected.
No, he lives in Polk.
They're
You
not
live
part of
over
the
there,
basic,
though?
they are
Huh?
You
elected
live over in
officials.
Polk,
some
huh?
of them are, some of them are hired employees, and so, I just. Wayne, what do you think?
Well, initially I was against the idea. And to be honest with you, that opinion has not changed. I choose not to give my reasons, I have several. I should say that I do highly respect Judge Bloss, and I have no, his participation has nothing to do with it. He's a fine man and a fine judge. But I've got a number of reasons that I choose not to go into, that, for my vote, it's gonna be no.
Well, I think all sides have spoken. Do I hear a motion to put the municipal court in order?
I make a motion, we put it in order.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second? Having heard a motion, have not heard a second, the motion's dead. Judge, thank you.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge Bloss.
You're welcome.
Where's my building inspector?
On call.
Fire hall meeting started.
Yeah. We wanted the next one, come back to next.
All right, I have a bill, we'll bypass that. I have a bill for a road grader. He should know it's pumping out on the road grader, and it can't be moved. Now, this is from Drew Keith, and we've kind of checked it out. The pump costs $3,015. The road grader is a good road grader, we don't use it often, but it's something we have to have occasionally. And it hasn't had any money spent on it in years, because the hydraulic system went down. It's got a hole in the radiator, the head gasket needs to be checked, it's leaking oil. I've looked on the internet, and I can't find anything comparable to it for less than $25,000 to $30,000. So the bill to put this thing back in A1 shape is $5,015.53. It's way over my rate. I got $15.
So, did they submit the, copy of the,
I have what they.
no, I mean, this is, copy of the, service records?
Oh, we don't have to. No.
Years.
Why don't we have service on, to prevent stuff like this?
Well, with a hydraulic pump going out, can go out in brand new equipment.
I know.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this is, it's just not talking about this too, it's talking about every department.
Every department.
This is, every meeting, we have something come up that, oh, we need to spend another $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 on when, well, when was the last service, when was the last looked at, when was the last check? I don't
reader, just 25 years
really know.
It's an A1.
I'm not saying that we don't need to
Did
fix
this
it.
come, and somebody will have to tell me, did this come from special road district? Jim, you been here long
I
enough.
thought it was purchased new, but I'm not sure.
David, you know.
Mark,
We, I
Do
think.
you know what year it is?
I think it was purchased new too, Jim.
I think
it-
I'm going way down the.
Longer than I.
I'm not saying that we don't need to fix it, and that's, I mean, obviously stuff breaks, but I'm just saying,
We need service records.
we need to start keeping, I think we need to start keeping service records on, at every department, on every piece of equipment we have that needs servicing.
I agree.
And then maybe stuff like this might not happen as often, I don't know.
I don't know either. The only thing I know is it's broke. And we've got to fix it or just get a bulldozer in there and move it, because it's sitting in front of salt shed and we can't even move it.
Preventative maintenance.
Yes, we need some forms of preventive maintenance, but I think that takes time.
And they may, that's why I was asking.
I'm not. The street department takes off and that train will be very quick.
I'm not
It's
saying they're
all
not.
service
I'm just
and it's all
saying-
maintained.
So, we have to fix it though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I make a motion that we approve $5,015 to fix the road grader.
I got 53 cents. I got a
And
question.
53 cents.
On that, fixing it, is that going through it and making sure that there's nothing other serious that's gonna happen as soon as the
Right.
5,000's over with?
When the hydraulic system went down,
I heard you say that on the radiator.
Don't-
Yes.
you don't just stop. I mean, if we're gonna work on this thing, let's put it back. The radiator was leaked for years.
It's been
Nobody
late for a long
fixed it.
time.
$300 to fix it, now why they didn't fix it, I don't know. It's got a head gasket going, we don't know, exactly. And Drew says, I'm just gonna give you an estimate, because I've gotta take the head off of it to tell you what's wrong with it. But it is leaking oil, and we just, this is the piece that we use in the wintertime, and it's getting close to that.
Who's gonna work on
Drew Keith,
Oh, Highway H, I know him.
right.
No,
It'd be a lot.
Is it Asia Road?
No, he has his shop out where the trust plant is. One of the nuts, he's a diesel mechanic certified.
Right here west of town, you're talking about?
No, not this way.
Where the trust plant is.
He's a good mechanic.
Yeah. The pump was, nobody told us the pump, I checked with a couple other equipment operators, they thought it was within reason to fix it for that amount of money. Because it's an unknown factor, you have to tear it down, they have to take it apart to get into where the pump's at. You're guessing, we know what the pump cost. I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Would you please call the roll?
Brandon,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Christie. Aye. James,
Aye.
Wayne.
Aye.
Okay. Building inspector's not back. I've still got a couple of other things I need to go over. And one of them is, and not having my fire chief here is also my emergency management individual. So I'll plead the case for all of them. If you know, and this is about generators, gentlemen. If you know, the fire department, if we lose our power, they can't get the doors open. If we have a tornado and a fire and we lose our power, the doors stay down. Only way they
Now,
get
whose
through them
bright
is
idea
ladders
was
and
that?
try to get through them or take the fire truck and go to the doors. Is that right, Brandon's on the fire department?
Yeah, I was just, did somebody have a comment? I thought
Don't they got the trip deals to work them?
Manually. Real does.
The doors are too big.
Pull the fit lever.
I think they do, but man, it'll take 2 or 3 or 4 guys to, and then you gotta get ladders, cause it goes a lot higher than what. Anybody can stand there and push it
No
up.
point in it. We got some of those guys, we had all the time tearing up, so. We had cold, Jay, what was that, place by hand there,
Yep.
many times.
So that changes where they can't.
The same, it's important our fire trucks run. It's important we have a police department if we have a natural disaster. I've had two generator options. We have a generator for the fire department. Normally doesn't take them over 3 or 4 hours to get it started once they try to start it. It's an old military. It takes the gas to start diesel and then they have to try to generate it. It's quite bumpy. We looked at one generator to service both the fire department and the police department. But it was quite a bit higher than having 2 propane generators sitting by the fire station and the police department. Quite a bit cheaper than having both of them, and instead of having a single. This money would have to come from capital improvements, which we have. The generator from the police department is a 20 kW, all automatic start, all automatic. It's 8,200. The fire department, a 13 kW, is $5,100.
It's too high, Judge.
Okay.
What was one could do both?
19,000
Oh,
for a 35 kW to run it.
Did you get a bid?
I just went to Dallas County Propane because they put all the other generators in. But we can take, if it's an option to the city,
No, I'm gonna go down from that. Because I've got a 20 kW at my house. I'm not anywhere near that.
If I may even
sure.
jump in, I've got the same thing, I've got a 20 kW at the farm and a 10 K at the, they service Generac here at Dallas Propane. You can buy Generac direct from Northern, and those two generators you mentioned, and the 13 K is about $3,000, I think $2,984. And last month they had it with free shipping here, and it included the automatic switches.
Does this include labor? They've got to cut the blacktops, to lay the lines from where the pad is for these and into the two buildings. This is installed.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not saying-
that you have to allow for where you install it. Normally they want them as close to the building as they can, and it's not much of an installation
Yeah,
process.
13, they're both GEs. And they're with automatic transfer switches. Everything is installed. If you like, we'll table it and take bids later on, see if we can find somebody else to bid it.
I'm just curious, has it always been that way for the last time?
What?
Dallas County Propane's.
Where the doors wouldn't go up?
Yeah,
No.
not always. I think it's what I said. But then we don't always have ice storms and we don't always have tornadoes.
And they want,
I don't mind, I just hope your house.
and they've been
gets on
spending
fire
all
if it
this
can get
friggin' money on the
Yeah.
bitchin' side.
Well, I will say too, there's also equipment that gets charged inside the station as well.
Right.
The trucks, themselves,
This
locking
is
their
the heat.
side
This is to heat the police station, these are the heat.
radios.
And heating and kitchens, everything except the heat pump. at the police station. The big structure.
And we'll have to buy some.
We have a tank,
We have a tank that will service the house.
we have the tank.
Oh,
We have to move one electrical income phase, they talk to Empire. It's more, it's a lot of, there's several feet.
They screwed up when they built it, it's got a zigzag there in front of the doors.
But I don't have any problem with
And people still walk down the middle of the street.
table it.
If there's two of them,
We
they
take
can walk
bids
down
on
the
it.
side. Yeah. But if they meet somebody,
I don't know if
they
you
shuffle
want
around.
the next meeting to
It was a waste of money.
consideration.
The skateboarders like Lawrence worked on that for years, and they couldn't even walk, he was in a wheelchair.
Did you say limitations?
Well, lower it.
You want me to lower it or?
No, I want to raise it.
As far as, well, let me explain right here.
They passed it, and
I'm very satisfied with the way it is. It just takes a little bit longer to get things done because I bring everything to council.
about that.
You people get it, you get an update every Friday of what I've done for the week.
And he didn't
Spending money's not a very big deal.
just to get this over with.
That's just what it is.
That's one of the best things you ever
Late
done.
in time, oh, no.
If I ever have to, if I had to,
Just tell one you're
this
gonna go watch
5,100,
ball game and say, do it.
I could have declared it an emergency, and could have got 5,000 of it approved, but it wasn't an emergency.
Stand up.
If anything comes up, so you don't need to change the ordinance, you gotta remember this. And I want you to remember this, is that in April, there'll be another mayor here.
What if he does have a,
So what I think you ought to do is leave it as is. Look next June and July to see what you wanna do with the new mayor. as far as I'm concerned, I can live with this, and I can work very good with what I get. Now, if you wanna give me $10,000 a month in salary, I will change my mind. But as far as being able to spend money, I'm not gonna do it without council approval. I'm not gonna make those decisions. If I have to have something, we'll have an emergency meeting, come to it and make those decisions. But as far as spending authority, you know, I finally got a painting back that we lost, but we got it back. And there won't be any of those show up in the meeting. So, Wayne,
Then
I
I'll
appreciate,
withdraw my
I
request.
would request that we'll just live as, and we'll, if I need to spend something comes up, but I want you to look to the future, not just to right now. Also, I want you to know the 2 police cars are in. The reason they have not been put on the road, if you recall, we got a MoDOT grant coming, we've applied for $30,000 worth of grants, 15 to the fire department, 15 to the police department. When that grant is finally approved, and it's a matching fund, so it's 30 and 30. At that time, we will put both police cars on the road, we will get the sides done, we will get all the equipment inside of it brand new for both cars. But we can't spend anything under the grant until the grant is approved. It's sitting there, so that's the reason both of those cars.
Do we have a timeline on that? Do we have a timeline on that?
Well, when you mess with MoDOT, whenever they decide to send it to us, everybody knows that.
I've got a few more things I've gotta get done.
So it's gonna be a while.
Well, hopefully we'll get the ad in the paper, the ad in the paper today, or this week, for the bids that we have to take, but we have to go through our normal bidding process, because the total value of the grant exceeds the small project that we did last time. So you all will be approving that project.
Next meeting.
Hopefully,
Okay.
I've gotta work through what I got today,
Okay.
so that's my hope.
And so nothing's being done. We've got cars now. We have, next meeting, I will tell you this, we've gotta think about having a sale. I've probably got 9 vehicles, I've got generators, we've got junk. And we're gonna decide next meeting, you'll see a list of them, of ones, we've got a couple we probably need to put on, we need to fix for ourselves. We've got a police car that was damaged in a wreck, we have cars without transmissions, and they're gonna go. I was kinda thinking that rather than to hire an auctioneer to sell all this, I'm just gonna auction it all. I'll be the auctioneer. You know, whatever they bring.
Why don't set them all in $300 to start now?
Okay, we'll see. But that's probably what we'll do. They're scrap, most of them. We'll set them in and advertise for bids or at the auction. No private bids. We're gonna auction it off. We got a lot of other scrap material we need to get rid of. And we just got a lot of junk. So that's what we're gonna do with the cars. We will decide at the next council meeting a list of what we're gonna do, and then at that time we'll decide how we're gonna auction. Did you get a fire put out?
We got it taken care of.
Okay, that's great. All right, now, item 6 on the agenda tonight was the awning,
Just like this stuff, Coterie.
Coterie County. Now, it has been brought to the council's attention, to the mayor's attention, that we, yes, since the last administrator's not here, we'll just do whatever we want. Well, we don't do things like that. Gotcha. Christie it's her place, and she's not involved in this. She's involved, but she hasn't got a comment. I want you to look around the square, and I want you to look at Maple Street, Crest Street. It's been there for about 25 or 30 years. That entire awning is sitting on the city sidewalk. Christie up the street is asking for the same thing to help make the town look better. with a set of steel awnings. Now, there's not actually anywhere within our building code, as Eric has said, that we can find in reference to this. And we just want the city to give Christie the authority to put her awning and the steel post on city streets, which anyone should ask the city before they do.
I did, totally did.
She did with the building inspector, and then he jumped sideways, but that's beside the point. We need to clarify it. We need to clarify it for our own minutes, and let her finish the building, and let's beautify the town. Let's make it look good. Do I hear a motion to allow her the permission to build on him on City Street?
Make a motion.
I have a motion. I have a second. Is there any discussion? None being heard, will you please call the roll?
Larry.
Aye.
Brandon.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Wayne.
Aye.
Christie.
Abstain.
James.
Aye.
Thanks for,
That pretty well concludes our agenda for the night, except, do I have any citizens' comments at the end of this meeting?
We spoke earlier in the week about the cages, you said you were gonna add that to the agenda. I gave Debbie a copy of
I
it.
better get that done. I gotta back off from there. We've gotta build, 2 cages inside these new cars, and it takes a while to build them. And they're made out of steel, and they're made out of sponge, and you can no longer arrest these people and cuff them and throw them in the trunk of the car for some reason. They have to be sitting upright. I don't know, it's one of them laws that they've passed in the past. But, Scott went, because we looked at some factory mades to see what they were made, and they run over $1,000. Was that not right, Scott? He went into the manuals.
That's for a full cage, and with a full cage, a lot of this don't fit in the car, it obstructs space in the car, and with a
So they want the cage special made that will really just, you can put 1-2 people together in it and let the officers remove their seats back and forth, give them a little room. The muffler shop has agreed to make these cages to fit the Impalas for $250 a piece. And that's, could be $500 to $1,200 less than we could buy them from factory made deal, and they will do the same thing.
That installed, is it?
installed.
Install. So once again, this is above my authority, it's $500, and I think it's the thing to do. At least we'll have these made, ready to go in the cars, and then when the sirens and the radars and the computer wiring all comes, it can be added and these cars will be ready. It takes a while to build these.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and approved. Any discussion?
Was that the muffler shop?
Yes. Do I hear any discussion? None being, please call the roll.
Wayne.
Aye.
Brandon.
Aye.
James.
Aye.
Christie.
Aye.
Tim. Larry.
Aye.
Do I hear any citizens' comments? Does anyone like to speak to this council for any purposes?
Just a general question, if I may, what's the status of the budget? Are you back on budget? Did you manage to compensate for the loss you had last year? What, just general?
We're pretty much back on the budget. That's one of the things, since we're here, I don't have to go in. The budget committee is to be reinstated, as was. Christie?
We had a surplus of $4,600 when we approved that, the new budget, so there wasn't a deficit.
more excess because the changes that has been made since we approved that in October. Within a little amount of time, we turn this around. Good control of money, making sure that we get our dollars, make sure it goes into the right area. Debbie does a tremendous job of making sure that we do not spend monies of the city in the wrong area or anything that's not well within our approved. So she does a fantastic job of it all. I think she does a great job. I work with her every day and I'm here every day. That's the one thing too. I'm always here. Very few days I do not miss coming here in the morning and staying 2 or 3 hours. Return all my calls. They come here. I really do.
I think it's safe to say we do better than the federal government does.
Tremendously better. Once again,
We have a citizen comment in the back.
yes,
Are you planning to do any more sidewalks and stuff? Or-
not for a while, not till we look at everything, we look at our budget and we look to the future.
And I was just gonna ask you, please, can we fix the fire department where they can get out their doors and stuff before we do
The
sidewalks?
money's gotta be spent for the good of all people, and I don't begrudge us spending sidewalks, I don't begrudge Locust Street. We've done it all, it's been there, it's gone, let's look, make sure, and go to the future, and make sure that we spend the city's money, in a proper way. And one of those things, you know, as Brandon said, another bill. And this bill, I am hoping, does anybody here from the council, I'm sorry, that the system has changed within the city of Buffalo. And the system is, all of these council people are responsible for different departments, one-on-one. It's their duty, their obligation to the city to look at the various departments, to see if they're gonna run their maintenance. It's just a one-on-one. They are a complete liaison between this council and the head of our departments. Jim Farrell is in charge of our parks. Larry Hicks is in charge of our sewer sanitation. Brandon Cannell is in charge of the fire department and the building inspector. Christie is recycling and animal shelter. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not an animal shelter, it is a dog pound, excuse the terminology. Christie is in charge of that in the paper. Wayne is in charge of the police department. In the meantime, until the city has decided to, what they're gonna do with the chief, I have appointed Scott Bowman to be in charge of the police department on an officer status. So it's him, Wayne, and back to the council. There is a couple of areas left that I will find one for Jim. I took on.
Tim.
Tim, I took on this, the street department and city hall here, so I've got a spot for him. It's just a more efficient way of government. It's, even though we're a town of 3,000, it's a tough place for one person to run. I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, and it's more than I can handle. So that's the way the system is. You got a complaint, find their telephone numbers. And as we're always handling problems at the sewage treatment plant, and I am sure that Larry will take care of this. We've got a sensor out, oxygen electrode system. We have to buy one, and they're $907.27. We have to have it because the DNR says you have to have it. I say you could probably work for 50 years without it, but they say you have to have it, we have to stay in compliance. I need a motion to pay this.
So moved.
Second.
Tim? Christie?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
Wayne?
Aye.
Larry?
All right,
And I'm hoping that Larry will see that some type of maintenance program is put into that. It's got out of hand. Never a meeting that we don't spend $1,000 to $5,000 down there. And it's just not being maintained.
So I move that we go into closed session in regards to litigation, real estate, and personnel.
I have a motion to go to closed session.
Were there any other citizens' comments? Yeah, I didn't know, did you close that? Were there any other citizens' comments? I didn't
No.
know.
No other comment whatsoever.
I'll second Christie.
Motion been made and seconded to go into executive session for personnel. Motion been made in discussion. Please call the roll.
Wayne?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
Christie?
Aye.
Tim? Larry?
all right.
Thank you, folks. I appreciate you